What is going on, guys and girls? So welcome to today's video. In the previous video at the end, I said I'll have a question box on my Instagram for 24 hours. Go there and ask me any questions that you want that arise after watching that video, and had a huge amount of responses. So I appreciate all the questions that came in. I've picked around 8 or so to answer today. And hopefully the answers that I give will also cover the majority of other questions. So let's dig straight into the questions. Would you look for a new swing strategy to trade in parallel? So firstly, I do just want to cover and kind of shed some light, because I had a lot of people messaging and commenting after that. And the way that their questions, etc., were worded as though they thought that I was saying I'm an SMC trader. So in that video, what I was trying to explain was I found the style that I'm currently trading from starting with SMC after identifying the patterns on the micro time frames, started learning SMC. I've talked to a lot of people and their journeys were very similar with SMC, where you have periods where it works and then your strike rate massively comes down, you give the majority of those profits back, and it kind of is this cycle that just keeps repeating. So it wasn't until I reflected and realized I'm missing that higher time frame narrative, and then I found ICT's concepts, realized that SMC is literally 10% of those overall concepts, just watered down. So I'm not an SMC trader. Parts of that style are very much within how I'm trading. All the liquidity based confluence, when you're looking for sweeps, when you're looking for breaker structures, yes, that is most definitely part of how I'm trading. However, there's so much more that you have to layer in on top of that, mainly the higher time frame narrative, in order to keep that strike rate up so that you can consistently be profitable. The reason why I say that is, am I going to look to develop a new swing strategy to trade alongside with my scalping / day strategy that I'm currently executing on the markets? The misconception is that this style of trading can only be used to scalp. And I think that's a misconception that came from SMC. When you start to get deeper into this and you really start to get an understanding, you very quickly recognize that this is just a way of analyzing the charts. And actually you can implement this style of analysis on any time frame that you want. So if you want to build a strategy where you're entering from the 4-hour chart, you can. It's all the same, and you can adjust it over different time frames. So am I going to look to develop my swing approach by analyzing the market this way? Not for the foreseeable. It's something that I definitely take note of, and it comes into my overall analysis. But I'm lucky enough to have the freedom in the day that I can trade sessions that I want to. So I trade London and New York session. And once that's done, I get to kind of clear my mind, step away from the charts. And that's what I'm really enjoying about this style. Previously, with my old swing style, it was very hard to get to a place where I'm not thinking about the charts all the time. I'm not on the charts all the time. I'm not listening for an alert all the time, because I would enter at any time of the day, even an hour before market close. Whereas this style, it allows me, once a session is done, to just drop the charts. And it's very liberating. So that's why I personally have chosen to execute my edge, how I'm trading, in a day / scalping strategy. So next question, can you really make a living from being a trader? This is relevant to everything that you go into looking to absorb knowledge and learn with the goal of being able to implement and be successful at later. If you go in to that learning phase with the hesitation and the questions in your mind of, is this even possible? You shouldn't even start. You should not even bother starting. What happens when you go into something new with a cognitive bias that's from a negative point of view, your mind will subconsciously look for things to prove you right. So it doesn't matter how much experience you have, how much knowledge you have. If you have a deep underlying limiting belief that something isn't possible, your mind will trick you into doing things that will stop it from being possible. And then you get to be right. So genuinely, I'd say if you have hesitations that this can be a real thing, that you can actually trade for a living, you shouldn't even bother starting. You should put your time into something which you genuinely do believe. And I understand this frustration because there is so much bullshit out there. So take me, for example. When we started gearing up to exit the business, to sell the business, I can't go into extreme details because legally I don't know where I stand, so I want to avoid that. So when we started gearing up to sell the business, we went through a 12-month integration period. At the beginning of that period, we stopped paying ourselves. We stopped taking dividends from the business for tax efficiency reasons. And since then, which was the end of 2019, I haven't personally had any meaningful income source other than trading profits. That's the only significant income source that I've had since the end of 2019. So what I'd ask you to ask yourself is, how would that be possible to go a 3-year period with the only meaningful income source being the trading profits that I generate? How would that be possible if you couldn't trade for a living? So next question, and this kind of leads on, how are you finding just trading and nothing else? So this is a really, really good question, because it's something that has been on my mind heavily for the last year. When it comes to just trading for a living, it's kind of the majority of people who get into trading, that's kind of their goal, right? It wasn't for me at the beginning because I had a business and I was just simply looking for a way to take profits from that business and get a great return on it. I wasn't happy with just putting money into pots where I know that when I'm 55, 60, I can take it and I can have a good life then. I want to make money now. And I have the capital, so I want to use it as a tool to grow as fast as I possibly can. So my goal was very different. As trading became my main source of income by a very large amount, and it became an opportunity cost no-brainer to go and switch to that full transition, sort of for the 2.5, 3 years where I was in that period, it did become a goal of mine and it did start to sound really attractive. So I had set this goal of that was the thing that I was looking to achieve. I was looking to get to this place, exit the business, and have all of my energy and focus on just trading. So when I got there in December 2020, and now trading was just my sole focus and I had nothing else to do, first couple of months were great. But as soon as that sort of honeymoon period ended, I realized how unfulfilling my life had become. I think you have to be a very specific individual to find trading for an extended period of time fulfilling. Yes, it's rewarding, but it's not fulfilling to your life. So when you're learning something new, you have that exponential growth curve. At the beginning, there's a lot of fulfillment here because you're learning so many new things. Everything's new, you're feeling very productive, and it's very exciting. So a lot of people are probably still in this phase where they're thinking, what's he talking about? It's not fulfilling. When you get nearer to the end and things start to flatten out, your growth slows down because you have the majority of the knowledge out there. So there's not as many new things to learn. You don't get that kind of same challenges you had before, which is a fulfilling thing. Challenge is always very fulfilling. And it took me a couple of months to really figure it out. There was periods where I was very unproductive because all I was doing was looking at the charts every single day, all day, or researching. And that's all I would do. The only responsibility that I had was to be on the charts when I needed to be on the charts and execute my plan as efficiently as I could. So after the initial honeymoon phase and a couple more months, I slowly realized that this doesn't excite me as a human. This doesn't keep the fire lit within me. This doesn't inspire me. Yes, I'm going to continue to trade because it's what allows me to live. It's what allows me to create the lifestyles that I want to create. So it's not something that I would give up. It's where all my knowledge, it's where the last 7-8 years of my life have been invested into. So it's not something you just give up because you need money to grow, etc., etc. And that's the tool which I know how to do it with. However, there was just a huge void in my life because for the first time I had the entirety of my day and my responsibilities in terms of a career focused were very, very small. And when you build a goal up to be something that you're working towards and you achieve it, it can very commonly be very underwhelming when you do achieve it. And you see that in gold medalists in the Olympics, in boxers like Tyson Fury when he wins the world championship. Once he's won, he kind of feels lost and he has no fulfillment in his life, nothing to put his focus into. So to answer that question, how are you finding just trading and nothing else? I love that I have it. I'm grateful that I went down this route and for everything that I have, but I know me as a person, I need to have other things that occupy me. I need to have a creative outlet. I need to have something that fires me up inside, and trading for me isn't that. It's just a tool to continue to grow my wealth. Next question is, did you leave on good terms from your previous community? So I'd been with a business for around 3 years that taught people how to trade, and that's what my previous style was. Yes, I did leave on good terms. I'd been with them 3 years. It was a fantastic journey. I think a misconception that may be currently going on is I left because my style changed. That's not the main reason why I left. Obviously, it would have happened at some point, but I think leaving kind of sped up the transition to fully going into this style. So the main reason why I left was relating back to what I was talking about in the previous question. As an individual, everything that I've ever had strong, successful results in has always been driven by my vision. It's always been driven by my work ethic, by my decisions. I do strongly believe in collaboration and building a team, and you'll make a much better product for your members, your end user. I wasn't personally getting any fulfillment from it, from being involved in growing someone else's vision. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm not here to build someone's vision. I'm here to create my own. So I developed a confliction with myself for being involved, because I know my true life's path, and the way that I'll reach my true potential is not being involved in someone else's vision and helping them create theirs. I'm here to spread my own vision, to create things for myself. And yes, there will be people on that journey with me, and you work together, etc. But I feel like everyone in their lives should feel the empowerment of knowing that they need to be the main character. They need to make the decisions. They need to have the responsibility. They need to have the final say. And being involved in someone else's business, you don't have that. So that's the main reason why I ended up leaving, just because it massively conflicted against my values to be involved in someone else's growing of their vision versus empowering myself and creating what I want to create. So next question, how do you manage your psychology on point when trading? So this is a big thing. Psychology is such an underrated piece of what goes behind successful traders. Not enough people have the right tools in order to reprogram their brain in a way which allows them to succeed in trading. When you get into trading, what people don't tell you is you will have to change your personality. You will have to change the way that you naturally, instinctively as a human react to specific things. So when you relate that to something else, to kind of make that easier to understand, relate it to boxing. So when I started learning boxing, my body's natural, instinctive as a human reaction to someone punching me, throwing a jab or whatever punch, would be to make a huge move out the way because of protection. That's what we're wired to do. Some people probably aren't. That's what 90% of us are wired to react like. When you start to get experience and you're training and you're advancing, you start to realize that's the complete opposite reaction that you need to have. When someone throws a punch at you, you should make a very small adjustment. It shouldn't be a large adjustment. You have to train yourself for that by repetition to make that the natural movement. And you're also at the same time wanting to throw something straight back because they now have their face open or they have their body open and you want to counter them. In all things, sports, business, trading, there are these things where you have to change the way that we naturally, instinctively react to certain things. So with trading, it's very much the same case. Our natural reaction when we're trading is to make the stupidest decisions. So when something's going against us, we'll start panicking and we'll fucking close it out early, even though it will probably just pop up back the other way. When something's running, we want to close it as soon as we see in profit instead of letting it run to the target. So you need to have the right tools to program your subconscious in order to make the correct decisions subconsciously whilst you are trading. So within a day, the tens of thousands of decisions that we make, 95% of those decisions are made from your subconscious. So when you're trading at the very beginning stages, and if you don't have these tools, you're going to repeat the same mistakes over and over again because the majority of the decisions that you're going to make are subconscious. So it is a huge part that's missing from this space at the moment. Good information on that, what the tools are, how to program yourself to actually succeed in trading. So this will be a big focus of this channel. There's going to be a lot of psychology content that comes out because it's something that actually really excites me. It's the part of the creativity that I've always expressed when I could, because it fascinates me, and I've spent huge amounts of time doing research into it, not just from a trading point of view, but also just from a life point of view. Why we do the things we do, how to change the things we do, the most efficient ways in order to program your brain in a way where you subconsciously make the correct decisions. So there will be a lot more going on that, so I don't want to go too in depth into this topic because there's going to be a huge amount to come. So next question, what do you think about funding companies? So prop firms essentially is the question here. I have already recorded a video going deep into this, which will be coming out in the next probably 2 weeks, if not at some point this month. All the details that I think about funding companies, the negatives, the positives, what I see people doing wrong, digging into the stats, that will be fully covered in that. So let's just cover this very briefly. I think they're amazing. I think the majority of people who get into trading, they're not someone who's in the situation where I was, where I have a business that's making profit and I want a vehicle to grow this capital as quick as possible. The majority of people get into trading, from what I see, work a 9 to 5, and they're looking for a way to find some time freedom in their life. They don't want to be committed to doing a 9 to 5 for someone else, and they want to build up so that they can get to a point where they get to trade full time and maybe they have other things on top, etc. So prop firms feel that need for capital, which a lot of people have, and it will allow them to achieve and obtain the goals which they're trying to achieve and create the lifestyle they're trying to achieve much quicker, which I think is absolutely an awesome thing. The negatives of prop firms that no one really talked about is you have no control. It's not your capital, so at any point it can disappear. At any point they can disappear. At any point they can change the rules, and that's something which you have to be wary of. That being said, the positives massively outweigh the negatives, so I think they give people who deserve it amazing opportunity. One thing that I have noticed is a lot of people go into it without really having the skill under wrap. I hear this term all the time of people saying capital's holding me back, and I'd say that's probably true for about 5 to 10% of people who say that. A lot of people use the excuse of not having capital for why they can't be profitable. If you can't be profitable on a 5, 10, 20k account, you're not going to be profitable on a 20k account, because you'll make the same bad decisions. What I would stress is you need to have that skill set ingrained in you. You need to have the psychology under wraps before you go into getting the funded account, because even if you pass the challenge and get the funded account, you're very likely, and the stats show this, and that's what I go into in the video, you're extremely likely to lose that funded account in a very short space of time. A full video will come out soon where I go into full explanation, go into stats, and give some tips and guidance on how to navigate the funded space and how to trade a funded account successfully. The biggest thing that I see is people see the goal as getting the funded account. It's not. That's the process to get to the initial stages, and the goal is actually to trade the funded account profitably. Here's a fun, not trading related question. What watches are you thinking of adding to the collection? So I've had my eyes on a couple of pieces. I really want AP 15202 in rose gold. Any avid watch collectors out there will know exactly what that is, as it's a very collectible watch. I've also been talking about Richard Mille for the last 2 years or so and wanting to pick one of those up. And lastly, the other watch that I wanted was an AP perpetual calendar platinum with a light blue dial. I just think it's absolutely stunning. So those are the three that I've been keeping my eye out on. However, the prices of watches have been going crazy. Since 2020, they've been going crazy. But the last 3-4 months, they've gone absolutely astronomical. So I'm in this weird position where what I paid for my watches was market value. It wasn't what you get for them at the authorized dealer. But I started purchasing these high-end timepieces at a point where they were already very much restricted supply because there was so much demand. I never thought of these pieces as investments. To be quite frank, when I purchased them, every single one that I purchased, I thought this is the stupidest money that I've ever spent, because I'm pretty sure on all of them I paid over 2 times retail, 2 times what you get them from an authorized dealer for, because that was the market price. And over the last 3-4 months, prices have gone absolutely crazy. The market has gone absolutely insane. My collection within the last 3 months has been as high as up to 350,000 with the 4 watches that I've got. And one of them is very insignificantly priced compared to the others. So when I'm thinking about purchasing a new watch, all of the prices have gone absolutely ridiculous. All of the 3 watches which I want are now sat over £200,000, which is just absolutely mind-blowing. So this white dial 5711 Patek Philippe 5711 Nautilus, which got discontinued. It's a steel watch. It's not a precious metal. It's a steel watch. From the authorized dealers, when you could get them, it was less than £30,000. I paid over double that, and they're now worth, in the last month, it was as high as £145,000. I never saw these watches as investments, but seeing how much they've grown, I'm now conflicted in myself as someone who is an investor, who is a trader. I'm now conflicted in myself of even keeping these, let alone buying a new one, because of the prices that these things are selling for. And I understand the reasoning behind it, the lack of supply, the increased demand. I've heard other things that family offices and funds are purchasing them in huge quantity from the dealers and then just literally putting them in a safe for 5 years, and they'll sell them in 5 years' time. So there's all these different reasonings behind why the watch market has gone crazy. But at this point, I'm genuinely thinking about cashing out the profit, because it's substantial, on at least 2 of these watches, if not maybe the 3 high-end ones, which would make it a very irrational decision to add another one to the collection. I can be an irrational person, so don't at me if I end up doing something silly in some point this year. Last question, and this one's a funny one. How do you master trading, lifestyle, health, time with the wife, and everything else so good? So, quick reminder, I mean, I believe the majority of people know this. Instagram isn't real, guys and girls. Instagram doesn't show you everything. So just being completely transparent when it comes to managing time with friends, managing times with relationships, managing times with your health and self-improvement. Sometimes there are periods over the last 3 years where a lot of those have been massively neglected, and it does create issues. So what I realize, it's when I'm unproductive. So a period like last year, at the beginning of last year, I realized how unproductive I was because I didn't have the structure in my day, because my only responsibility was to trade. So why would I need to set structure up? So what you really realize is when you implement structure into your day and literally create time blocks for when you're going to wake up, what you do in that first hour, what you do in the second hour. I time block everything. I time block when I break my fast, when I work out, when I'm going to be in the sauna, when I'm going to spend time with my girlfriend. I literally put even free time into that schedule, because when you have a structure like that, you need to be self-accountable and you need to take personal responsibility to meet that schedule, which again is a fulfilling feeling because you feel like you're achieving something because you've actually stuck to what you're doing and you're not procrastinating around, so you get more done. And it allows you, having that scheduled free time, to give that to other people, whether it's your girlfriend, whether it's your friends, whether it's you need to have that to work out. So I kind of have daily non-negotiables now in my schedule. Trading obviously is the big one, and then also working out is a non-negotiable, and doing some sort of recovery is a non-negotiable. And I also have time scheduled in that I can spend with my girlfriend, which is a non-negotiable as well. And it makes everything so much better. It sounds horrific if someone tells you to schedule your entire day, even free time. Believe me, if you follow a schedule and you have every single hour of your day mapped out and you hold yourself accountable to that, you have so much more joy, peace, loving relationships in your life than being in this sort of place where you're super unproductive because you're procrastinating the whole time because you just have 2 or 3 things that you have to get done and you've got the whole day to do them and you probably don't even achieve them most of the days. So structure is such an important thing to put into your day, to implement and follow when you want to make sure that there's balance in your life, even though it sounds like the most unbalanced thing to schedule out every hour of your day. So that is going to wrap up this video. I hope you all enjoyed it and enjoyed the questions that I answered. As always, make sure to like and subscribe and leave any thoughts in the comments below. But for now, I wish you all well and I'll see you next time. Peace out.
I pull up you deep on my dick, consider it's pivotal. Trap through the app, make her clap it, don't cap it, she tapping it fast. I think that you know they be catching it.